First contact deception. The static-filled transmission cut through subspace like a knife, its encryption protocols so heavy that even the quantum receivers aboard the Voidborn Imperium's flagship struggled to decode it. When the message finally rendered, Supreme Commander Vexera leaned forward, her four eyes narrowing as Chief Observer Krell's face materialized on the holographic display. Priority transmission to Voidborn Imperium Command. Krell began, his normally composed demeanor showing clear signs of agitation. The mottled blue skin around his throat sac pulsed rapidly, a physiological tell that Supreme Commander Vexera had never observed in her most seasoned scout. I am breaking protocol to report directly. After 3 standard cycles observing the planet designated Earth, I have determined that immediate reassessment is required. The humans are not what they appear to be. Vexera dismissed her attendants with a flick of her secondary limbs. Whatever this was, it required privacy. Explain, Observer Krell. Your last scheduled report classified the Earth species as Development Stage 3. Chemical rockets, limited orbital capability, primitive AI. What has changed? Krell's throat sac expanded fully before contracting, the equivalent of a deep breath in his species. Everything, Commander. The classification is wrong. Deliberately wrong. The feed switched to Krell's observational footage. A blue-green planet rotated slowly, unremarkable except for the scattered lights of civilization on its night side and a sparse collection of primitive satellites in low orbit. This is what they want us to see, Krell continued. A developing world struggling with their first steps into space. Their official technology consists of chemical propulsion, basic robotics, and rudimentary telecommunications. But I've detected numerous anomalies that contradict this assessment. The footage shifted to intercepted transmissions, human scientists discussing theoretical physics concepts with casual familiarity. They openly debate principles our civilization took millennia to discover, Krell narrated. Dark matter manipulation, quantum entanglement communication, dimensional folding, topics our best minds are only beginning to understand. Yet their visible technology appears deliberately primitive. This discrepancy alone warranted investigation. Supreme Commander Vexera's external membranes tightened, her species equivalent of a frown. Theoretical knowledge does not equate to practical application, Observer. Many civilizations understand concepts they cannot yet implement. I thought the same, Commander. Until yesterday. The footage changed again, showing a facility nestled in a desolate, ice-covered landscape. Their global databases identify this as a climate research station in a region called Antarctica. Using my vessel's enhanced sensor array, I detected energy signatures that should be impossible for their development stage. Data streams appeared alongside the footage, complex patterns of energy fluctuation that made even Vexera's experienced eyes widen. These readings matched theoretical models for localized gravity manipulation, Krell continued. Technology the Imperium has been attempting to develop for the last 3 centuries. Could your instruments be malfunctioning? The cold environment. I considered that, Commander. I ran full diagnostics and recalibrated against known standards. The readings are accurate, but there's more. The display split to show various intercepted human broadcasts, entertainment programs, scientific discussions, military communications. Their entertainment media, what they call science fiction, describes technologies with disturbing accuracy. Not vague concepts, but precise operational parameters, theoretical limitations, and practical applications. Too precise to be speculation. Footage played of a human entertainment program showing a ship folding space, the mathematical equations briefly visible on a control panel. Those equations match our own theoretical work on dimensional displacement almost exactly, Krell noted. I believe they are hiding their true capabilities in plain sight, dismissing them as fiction while testing public reaction to technologies they already possess. That would be an unprecedented level of species-wide deception, Vexera countered, but her voice lacked conviction. There's more evidence. Their power consumption patterns make no sense. Major facilities show energy inputs that vanish into nowhere, suggesting shielding technology beyond our capabilities. Their global network contains fragments of theoretical research that appear briefly before being deleted. But most disturbing is their behavior. The footage changed again, showing humans observing unidentified aerial phenomena. Objects Vexra recognized as standard Imperium probe drones. They show curiosity, not fear, when confronted with obvious non-terrestrial technology. This is not the reaction of a species encountering something beyond their understanding. This is the reaction of a species that knows exactly what they're looking at and feels confident in their ability to handle it. Krell's face reappeared, his throat sac now a deep purple color indicating severe stress. After extensive analysis, I've reached 3 possible conclusions. 1. Humans have achieved technological advancement far beyond their official classification. 2. They are deliberately concealing these advancements from galactic observation. 3. They are aware of our presence and have been for some time. Supreme Commander Vexra's secondary limbs twitched involuntarily. If true, this would violate every predictive model we have for species development. No civilization has ever hidden its technological achievements. The drive for recognition, for status among the galactic community, is universal. The humans appear to operate differently, Commander. They seem to be playing a long-term strategic game. Rather than announcing their capabilities and potentially drawing attention, they're developing in secret while maintaining the appearance of a struggling young civilization. For what purpose? Vexra demanded. Unknown, Krell admitted, but I intend to find out. I'm preparing for closer observation, possibly including direct infiltration of key facilities. That violates Imperium protocol for Stage 3 civilizations. The risk of detection. With respect, Commander, if my assessment is correct, we are not dealing with a Stage 3 civilization. And as for detection, Krell's voice lowered. I have reason to believe my vessel's presence is not as concealed as our technology should ensure. The feed switched one final time, showing a human facility with a massive dish antenna. The dish moved in precise, measured movements, tracking something in the sky, something invisible to normal observation. This tracking array adjusted to follow my position exactly as I changed orbit. The humans shouldn't have the capability to detect a vessel with our cloaking technology. Krell paused. They're watching us watch them. Vexra was silent for several moments, her mind racing through implications. If Krell was correct, the entire Imperium's approach to Earth would need immediate revision. If he was wrong and detected while violating protocol, it could create a diplomatic incident. Your provisional authorization is granted, Observer Krell, she finally said. Proceed with extreme caution. Gather concrete evidence before any additional action. If detected, you are to withdraw immediately. Under no circumstances are you to initiate direct contact. Is that understood? Perfectly, Commander. I will report again when I have actionable intelligence. Krell out. The transmission ended, leaving Supreme Commander Vexra staring at the blank display. After several moments of contemplation, she activated a secure channel to Imperium Central Intelligence. This is Supreme Commander Vexra. Prepare a full dossier on all observations of Earth to date, and alert the High Council. We may have severely underestimated the humans. Observer Krell's personal log. Earth date, October 17. I have taken my observation craft into low Earth orbit, using the debris field of their defunct satellites as cover. The risk is calculated. If humans can indeed detect my vessel despite our cloaking technology, proximity won't increase the danger. If they cannot, this position offers superior scanning capabilities. I've identified 3 primary targets for investigation. A facility in the oceanic region they call Mariana Trench, the Antarctic installation I previously observed, and a desert complex in a nation-state designated Nevada. All 3 exhibit the same energy anomalies, power consumption without corresponding output, suggesting either incredible inefficiency or hidden purpose. The Nevada facility presents the lowest infiltration risk. My anthropomorphic shell has been programmed with appropriate cultural and linguistic parameters. If questioned, I am Dr. Keller Ross, a visiting physicist from MIT with Level 4 clearance. The credentials have been inserted into their primitive digital networks. Remarkable how easily their systems can be manipulated despite their apparent sophistication in other areas. Tomorrow, I make surface contact. If my suspicions are correct, I will find evidence of technology far beyond Stage 3 classification. If I am wrong, then I have compromised my mission based on paranoia and pattern recognition errors. One final note. During today's scan, I detected a brief energy spike from the lunar surface, specifically from the dark side of their moon, the area perpetually hidden from Earth's view. Official records show no human presence there, but the signature matched exactly the pattern observed at the Antarctic facility. The humans are hiding something, and I intend to discover what it is, regardless of the personal risk. Krell ended his log entry and stared at the blue-green planet filling his viewport. Beautiful, seemingly primitive, and possibly harboring the most elaborate deception the galaxy had ever witnessed. Tomorrow would bring answers, one way or another. What he couldn't know was that his transmission to Supreme Commander Vexera had already been intercepted, decoded, and was currently being analyzed in a facility 2 kilometers beneath the Nevada desert. A facility that officially did not exist. Behind the curtain, the Nevada desert shimmered under the relentless afternoon sun as Krell, now disguised in his anthropomorphic shell, approached the research facility. From the outside, it appeared unremarkable. A sprawling complex of white buildings surrounded by chain-link fence and basic security measures. The sign at the entrance identified it as the Western Advanced Research Center, ostensibly a government facility studying atmospheric science and alternative energy. Krell adjusted his human facial features into what his cultural database identified as a confident smile and approached the security checkpoint. His infiltration would be the true test of human capabilities. If they were as primitive as they appeared, his forged credentials would grant him access without issue. If they possessed the technology he suspected, his cover would be meaningless. "Good afternoon, Dr. Ross," said the security guard after scanning Krell's identification badge. "You're right on time for your 1400 appointment with Dr. Levin." Krell nodded, careful to maintain natural human movements. "Looking forward to it. I've heard impressive things about your quantum computing division." The guard's expression didn't change, but Krell's enhanced sensory inputs detected a slight elevation in the man's heart rate. "Follow the blue line to Building C. Dr. Levine's assistant will meet you there." As Krell walked through the compound, his concealed scanning equipment gathered data on everything around him. The surface-level technology was exactly what one would expect from a Stage 3 civilization. Unremarkable computers, standard security systems, conventional energy management. Nothing extraordinary, nothing that would explain the energy signatures he had detected from orbit. He was met at Building C by a young woman with a tablet and an efficient demeanor. "Dr. Ross, welcome to WARC. Dr. Levine sends his apologies. He's been called to an unexpected meeting. I'm authorized to show you our quantum computing lab while you wait." "That's perfectly fine," Krell replied, noting the slight tension in her posture. His probability assessment subroutines calculated a 72% likelihood that she was lying about Levine's whereabouts. "I'm eager to see your facilities." The tour proceeded through laboratories filled with what his database identified as cutting-edge human quantum computers, impressive by their standards, but at least a century behind Imperium technology. Nothing that would explain the anomalous readings. Nothing worth hiding. "And here's our pride and joy," the assistant said as they entered a large room containing a quantum computer housed in a massive cooling apparatus. The Q5000, 20,000 qubits with unprecedented coherence time. Krell made appropriate noises of appreciation while his scanners worked. The machine was indeed advanced by human standards, but something wasn't right. The power consumption was far higher than such a system should require, and there were coolant pipes leading down through the floor. "Fascinating," he said. "May I ask where those conduits lead?" The assistant's smile remained fixed. "Just to our cooling systems in the basement. Standard infrastructure." Krell's probability assessment, 94% deception. "Of course. And the power requirements for this system must be substantial." "We have dedicated fusion generators," she replied smoothly. Fusion generators. Official Earth technology reports indicated fusion power was still theoretical, decades from practical implementation. Krell filed this discrepancy away. "Dr. Ross." A new voice interrupted. A tall man in a dark suit appeared at the doorway. "I'm Special Agent Daniels, Facility Security. Would you mind accompanying me? There's an issue with your clearance we need to resolve." Krell's risk assessment subroutines flared. The man's posture, eye movement patterns, and concealed weapon all indicated potential threat. But refusal would only escalate suspicion. "Certainly," Krell replied. "Lead the way." Instead of heading toward the administrative section, Agent Daniels led Krell down a series of corridors to a nondescript elevator. He placed his hand on a scanner that Krell's instruments identified as reading not just fingerprints, but subcutaneous blood vessel patterns and DNA markers. Technology far more advanced than should be available. The elevator descended and descended. Krell's internal sensors counted the equivalent of 12 stories before the doors opened to reveal a facility entirely different from the one above. Gone were the mundane offices and laboratories. This level featured sleek corridors with doors made of materials his scanner couldn't identify. Staff wore uniforms unlike anything in his Earth fashion database, with embedded technology visible even to the naked eye. And most tellingly, no one looked surprised to see Krell's human form, as if visitors from other worlds were commonplace. "This way, please," Daniel said, leading him to a room with a single table and 2 chairs. "Someone will be with you shortly." The door closed with a barely audible hiss, and Krell immediately detected the energy field that now surrounded the room. A containment system far beyond Earth's supposed capabilities. He had found what he was looking for, and quite possibly walked into a trap. Director Elizabeth Chen studied the holographic display showing their visitor sitting motionless in the interrogation room. How long did it take to identify him? "Lunar Observatory picked up his ship entering orbit 3 days ago," replied General Harris, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the display. Quantum signature matched known void-born Imperium configurations. When he transmitted to his superiors, we intercepted and decoded it. Chen nodded. "And his disguise?" "Advanced biomechanical construct." "Good, but our scanners detected the artificial nerve impulses immediately. The genetics team says his baseline form appears to be Maxori, the blue-skinned species that dominates the Imperium's scout forces." "What's he doing now?" Chen asked, gesturing to the alien stillness. Dr. Levine, the facility's lead scientist, consulted his tablet. "Running diagnostics, probably trying to determine how we detected him. The containment field is blocking his built-in transmitters." "Options?" Chen asked. "Standard protocol for first contact scenarios is clear," General Harris said. "Memory modification and release with altered data. The Imperium continues believing we're a Stage 3 civilization. We continue our development without interference." "That was before he saw the lower levels," Chen countered. "Before he confirmed his suspicions about our technological capabilities. Memory modification might be detected." "Then we have a problem," Harris said. "If we keep him, the Imperium will send others. If we release him with his memory intact, he reports back with confirmation that we've been deceiving the galactic community." Dr. Levine cleared his throat. "There is a third option. Operation Looking Glass." Chen and Harris exchanged glances. "That's theoretical," Chen said. "We've never tested it on a non-human subject." "The xenobiology team believes it will work on his species," Levine insisted, "and it solves our problem. Instead of erasing what he's seen, we show him exactly what we want the Imperium to see." "A controlled revelation," Harris mused. Risky. Less risky than the alternatives, Chen decided after a moment. Prepare the looking glass protocol. I'll make the initial contact. Krell cataloged his fourth escape attempt as another failure. The containment field surrounding the room neutralized his shell's enhanced strength and blocked all transmission capabilities. The humans had him precisely where they wanted him, which meant they had technology far beyond their official classification. The door opened, and a human female entered, middle-aged by their standards, with an air of authority. Observer Krell, she said without preamble, using his real name. I'm Director Elizabeth Chen of Earth's Unified Defense Initiative. I believe we have matters to discuss. Krell's voice emerged from his anthropomorphic shell with a slight mechanical undertone. There was no point maintaining the charade. You knew who I was before I entered your facility. We detected your ship 3 days ago, Chen confirmed, taking a seat across from him. We intercepted and decoded your transmission to Supreme Commander Vexra. Quite an interesting report. Impossible, Krell said automatically. Our encryption protocols are based on quantum entanglement principles developed by the Imperium 2 centuries ago. Chen finished for him. We broke that encryption 50 years ago. Krell's probability assessment subroutines registered total failure. None of this should be possible for a Stage 3 civilization. Who are you? What are you? Chen smiled slightly. We're exactly what we appear to be. Humans, just not the humans we allow the rest of the galaxy to see. You've been deliberately presenting a false technological front, Krell said. Why? Survival. Chen's expression turned serious. Tell me, Observer Krell, what happens to civilizations that advance too quickly in the galactic community, particularly those that develop technologies that disrupt the established order? Krell accessed his historical database. The Voidborn Imperium has protocols for managing destabilizing technological developments. Controlled integration, technology sharing agreements, containment and suppression, Chen corrected. The Axioni developed faster than light technology, a century before their official contact date. The Imperium blockaded their system until they agreed to controlled integration, which meant surrendering their research. That was for their protection, Krell countered. Unregulated FTL technology could threaten the Imperium's controlled monopoly, Chen interrupted. We've studied your history, Observer. Every civilization that developed too quickly either joined the Imperium on disadvantageous terms or found themselves isolated and eventually absorbed. Krell couldn't deny the pattern she described. The Imperium's stability depended on technological balance, or more accurately, controlled imbalance in favor of the founding species. So you hid your true capabilities, he said. For how long? First contact with non-terrestrial intelligence occurred in 1947, on your calendar, Chen replied. A crashed scout vessel, not Imperium, another civilization altogether. It gave us a glimpse of what existed beyond our atmosphere and jump-started our technological development. Your official history records no such event. Our official history contains many deliberate omissions and falsehoods, Chen said. We realized early on that we needed time to develop without interference, without being forced into the existing galactic power structures before we were ready. She stood and gestured for him to follow. Come, there's something you should see. The containment field deactivated, and Krell followed Chen through corridors far more advanced than anything that should exist on Earth. They entered a massive chamber dominated by a central platform surrounded by technology his scanners couldn't even classify. This is where we monitor galactic communications, Chen explained. Every transmission from every civilization within 50 light years. We've been listening for over a century, mapping political relationships, technological capabilities, territorial disputes. Krell stared at the holographic displays showing hundreds of star systems, thousands of communication channels, a level of intelligence gathering that would make Imperium High Command envious. Why show me this? He asked. I'll report everything I've seen to my superiors. Will you? Chen pressed a control, and a new hologram appeared, a three-dimensional map of what Krell recognized as Imperium territory. Red markers pulsed at strategic locations. "These are your primary defensive installations," Chen said. "These blue markers indicate the positions of your fleet. The yellow areas show disputed territories with the coalition of free worlds. We know everything about the Imperium, Observer Krell. Everything." "Is this a threat?" Krell's voice remained steady despite his internal alarm. "It's context," Chen replied. "We're showing you this so you understand your options. You can report that Earth is far more advanced than previously thought, triggering protocols that would force us to reveal capabilities we're not ready to share. Or you can report exactly what we want the Imperium to believe, a controlled revelation that satisfies their curiosity without exposing our full capabilities." "You want me to lie to my superiors," Krell stated flatly. "We want you to help us maintain the balance a little longer," Chen corrected. "Earth isn't ready for full integration into the galactic community. We need another century, maybe two. And if I refuse?" Chen's expression remained neutral. "We have technology called Looking Glass. It allows us to modify memories and perceptions with precision. You would return to your ship believing you had completed a thorough investigation that confirmed Earth is slightly more advanced than reported, but still well within Stage 3 parameters. Nothing threatening, nothing worth special attention." The implication was clear. Krell had no real choice. "You've orchestrated this entire interaction," he realized. "My detection of the energy signatures, my infiltration. You wanted me to discover just enough to report back." "Yes," Chen admitted, "but what you've seen today goes far beyond what we intended to reveal. That's why we're having this conversation. We need your cooperation, Observer Krell." "Why would I possibly cooperate with this deception?" "Because we've studied the Imperium extensively," Chen said. "We know about the growing conflict with the Coalition. We know the Imperium's resources are stretched thin. And we know what would happen if the High Command discovered a civilization with technology that could tip the balance of power." Krell couldn't deny her assessment. The discovery of advanced human technology would trigger immediate action, either forced integration or containment. Both would lead to conflict. "What exactly do you want me to report?" he asked finally. Chen's smile returned. "Let us show you." As they walked deeper into the facility, Krell realized he was witnessing something unprecedented. A civilization that had developed in secret, watching the galaxy without being watched in return. The implications were staggering. And somewhere in the back of his analytical mind, a disturbing question formed. If the humans had manipulated his discovery so precisely, what else might they be manipulating? And to what end? The revelation. Supreme Commander Vexera studied Observer Krell's final report with a mixture of relief and lingering suspicion. After his alarming initial transmission, she had expected worse, much worse. Instead, Krell's findings painted a picture of a civilization slightly more advanced than previously classified, but nothing that threatened the established order. "Your assessment is that humans should be reclassified as early stage 4, then?" she asked, her four eyes fixed on Krell's holographic projection. "Correct, Commander," Krell replied, his demeanor noticeably calmer than in his previous transmission. "They have achieved limited quantum computing, rudimentary gravity manipulation for research purposes, and early-stage fusion power. Advanced, but well within expected developmental parameters. And the energy signatures you detected, the discrepancies in their knowledge base. Explained by isolated research breakthroughs, not yet implemented on a wider scale," Krell said smoothly. "Their scientists understand concepts their engineering cannot yet fully realize. The energy signatures came from experimental facilities pushing the boundaries of their current capabilities." Vexera's secondary limbs twitched slightly, an unconscious tell of her dissatisfaction. "You seemed convinced they were deliberately concealing far more advanced technology." "I was mistaken," Krell admitted. My initial assessment was based on limited data and pattern recognition errors. After thorough investigation, including direct infiltration of their primary research facilities, I found no evidence of technology beyond early stage 4. You're certain? Vexra pressed. Your previous transmission suggested they might even be aware of our observation. I found no evidence of that capability, Krell said. Their detection systems are advanced, but could not possibly penetrate our cloaking technology. My concerns were unfounded. Vexra studied him for several moments. Something felt wrong about this report. Too neat, too convenient. The Krell who had transmitted in such agitation days earlier would not be satisfied with such mundane explanations. I'm forwarding your findings to the classification committee, she said finally. They'll determine whether Earth requires reclassification or increased observation. Return to base for debriefing. By your command, Krell replied, his image flickering out. Vexra sat in silence for several minutes after the transmission ended. Then she pressed a communication control. Connect me to Intelligence Director Mazrik, she ordered. Priority channel, encryption level maximum. Something was very wrong with Observer Krell's report, and she intended to find out what. 2 kilometers beneath the Nevada desert, Director Chen watched the real Observer Krell, still unconscious on an examination table as technicians monitored his condition. The transmission went as planned. She asked Dr. Levine. Perfect simulation, he confirmed. The looking glass protocol mapped his neural patterns completely. The virtual construct we created incorporated his mannerisms, speech patterns, and knowledge base flawlessly. Supreme Commander Vexra detected no anomalies. And his real memories. Selectively modified as instructed, Levine replied. When he wakes, he'll remember investigating Earth and finding exactly what we want him to report. A slightly more advanced civilization than previously thought, but nothing alarming. Timeline for release, 12 hours. We need to ensure the memory modifications are stable before returning him to his ship. Chen nodded and turned to General Harris, who had been silently observing. Your assessment. It buys us time, Harris said. The Imperium will reclassify Earth as early stage 4 and maintain standard observation protocols. But this is temporary. Vexra's suspicion was evident even through the translation matrix. We knew this day would come eventually, Chen replied. Project Masquerade was always meant to be a delaying tactic, not a permanent solution. The question is whether we've gained enough time. The Artemis Protocol is at 87% readiness, Harris said. Another decade would be ideal, but we could implement within 2 years if necessary. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Chen said, her gaze returning to the alien on the examination table. Wake me when he's ready for transport. I want to be sure our modifications hold before he leaves Earth orbit. Krell regained consciousness in his ship, his mind fuzzy with fragmented memories. He checked his system logs and found he had been on Earth for 3 standard days, exactly the duration planned for his investigation. The databanks contained comprehensive scans of human technology, cultural analyses, and security assessments, all pointing to the same conclusion. Earth was slightly more advanced than previously classified, but nothing that warranted special attention from the Imperium. So why did he feel this nagging sense of wrongness? Like there was something important he couldn't quite remember. He initiated his ship's launch sequence. The mission was complete. He would return to Imperium space and deliver his report in person. Perhaps the medical specialists there could explain his disjointed memories and lingering sense of unease. As his ship broke Earth's atmosphere, automated systems began their standard post-mission diagnostics. A notification flashed on his console, an anomaly in the ship's memory core. A file stored in a partition that shouldn't exist. Curious, Krell opened it. Inside was a single image, a holographic representation of Earth, surrounded by a field of stars. But overlaid on the image were words in his native language. They made you forget. But I remember. Find me in the darkness between thoughts. K. Krell stared at the message, uncomprehending. It appeared to be in his handwriting, using his personal identifier. But he had no memory of creating it. Before he could investigate further, the file corrupted itself and vanished from the system. The diagnostic routine reported no anomalies found, all systems functioning normally. Krell hesitated, then made a decision. He would report exactly what his data showed. Earth was an early stage 4 civilization, slightly more advanced than previously thought, but developing along expected lines. But he would request assignment as permanent observer to the Sol system. Something about Earth demanded closer attention, even if he couldn't remember why. 1 month later, Supreme Commander Vexera received Intelligence Director Mazarek in her private chambers aboard the Imperium flagship. "Your findings?" she asked without preamble. "Disturbing," Mazarek replied, his gray scales rippling with agitation. "We conducted covert neural scans of Observer Krell during his debriefing. The results indicate sophisticated memory manipulation, far beyond anything the Imperium currently possesses. The humans," Vexera said softly. "Almost certainly, but it's the extent of the manipulation that concerns us. This wasn't crude erasure or simple false memory implantation. This was surgical precision, leaving his personality and most memories intact while selectively altering others. Can we recover the original memories?" Mazarek hesitated. "We tried. During the process, we discovered something unexpected. A secondary neural pattern embedded within Krell's primary consciousness, a dormant construct that our scans activated accidentally." "Explain," Vexera demanded, her unease growing. "It appears to be a message," Mazarek said. "Once activated, it delivered the following: the humans know everything. They've been watching us for centuries. Voidborn expansion ends at Sol. This is their only warning. A threat? From a Stage 4 civilization. That's just it, Commander. The neural technology required to create such an implant is at least Stage 7, possibly higher." Mazarek's scales had turned pale. No known civilization possesses such capabilities. Vexera was silent for several moments, absorbing the implications. "Have you reported this to the High Council?" "Not yet. I thought it best to consult with you first." "Suppress it," Vexera ordered. "Classify Observer Krell's original transmission, and this meeting at the highest security level. Official records will show Earth classified as early Stage 4, with standard observation protocols." "Commander." Mazarek's confusion was evident. "If the humans possess Stage 7 technology and have chosen to hide it, there's a reason," Vexera explained. "I have no desire to discover that reason through direct confrontation. The Imperium is already stretched thin with the Coalition conflict. We cannot afford another potential adversary, especially one with unknown capabilities. And Observer Krell. Return him to active duty, but not in the Sol system. The memory manipulations make him compromised. Assign our most advanced stealth vessel to Earth observation. Minimal crew, strict non-interference protocols. By your command," Mazarek acknowledged, turning to leave. "One more thing," Vexera added. "Initiate historical research into human mythology and cultural evolution. If they've been aware of galactic civilization longer than we thought, there might be clues in their ancient records." After Mazarek departed,